Hello, my name is Remy. I am a sixth grade math teacher at a charter network in New Orleans called First Line Schools. What was it like growing up in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina? Well, Hurricane Katrina hit 10 years ago when I was 13 years old, and I currently just finished my first year teaching with Teach for America in my neighborhood of New Orleans. Growing up in New Orleans after Katrina was challenging because it was such a traumatic experience, and it didn't help that I was in junior high school, so I had all of the trials that come with being a junior high school student in addition to losing my community, my home, and my sense of normalcy. A lot of my friends, which were like the most important thing in my life at the time when you're in middle school, did not come back to my school after Katrina. I was actually displaced. I lived in another city, Charlotte, for 6 months before I was able to come back and continue with my school. So the biggest thing was losing my sense of normalcy and my sense of community and not knowing if I would ever have that back. How did my education change after the storm? After the storm, I saw a lot of schools in the city change, and one of the biggest things in New Orleans that you ask someone, once you meet them and you know that they're from New Orleans, you say, where did you go to school? Like a school could denote your culture, your class, what part of the city you grew up with, and your school gave you a sense of identity. Well, after the storm, a lot of our schools were flooded, the names were changed, and that sense of identity that came with the belonging to a certain school changed a lot. And I really think it changed the morale of our city because the school was integrated into the community. However, when charters came, it was a lot of new people in the city, which is a blessing. However, that sense of community is not there like it used to be. Going to a charter school was not something that really stayed in the back of my mind. All I knew was that we had more freedom to do things without having to go through all the different hierarchies that came with the New Orleans public school system. As for Patrick Dobard being the leader of the Recovery School District, I think that is important because New Orleans is taking steps to showing more validation of people that come from New Orleans. I know that at my job I am a minority. It is not likely for my kids to see a teacher that was born and raised in the same area that they live in, and just to have someone leading the Recovery School District who is from here and familiar with the people and the culture is important to me. As for his success thus far, I can't really speak to it because he actually was elected in 2012 and I was still at Spelman at that time. Finally, the transition from being a student in New Orleans public schools to a teacher, it is very humbling. A lot of people always say, well, it must be easier for you because the kids will respect you because you're from here. Well, they must not know middle school students very well. They are challenging no matter who you are. However, I am glad to be informed on the culture and feel that I share something with the students, and that doesn't necessarily make my job easier. It just makes my perspective a little different. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on my experience as a native New Orleanian and as a teacher. I hope that this was helpful. All right, have a good one.